Box office addict, gonna get into these movies and shit. Alright, folks, welcome to the newest episode of Box Office Addict. If you're like me, you're an addict yourself, and you want to go as in detail as possible on breaking these numbers down. So that's what we're gonna do. Come with me, bitches, on my magic carpet as we fly in to analytical nirvana. Alright, so the big story of the week is Shazam Fury of the Gods, which did horribly and has continued the trend of recent superhero films underperforming, and the superhero fatigue that we've heard about over the last few years. Maybe it's actually happening for once. I don't know. This is definitely not a good sign, but I honestly don't think this has anything to do with superhero fatigue. This movie specifically. I genuinely think nobody had any interest whatsoever in a sequel to Shazam. And I don't even know why the studio greenlit the project and what the goal was. I remember this was a whole thing, having forum discussions about the first movie where they're like, well, it's one of those movies like Batman Begins where the sequel will make more money. Nope. You were fucking wrong. It's like whenever a movie sucks and everyone says it sucks, and then you'll always see someone on Twitter be like, well, in 10 years, it's going to be like Blade Runner and everyone's going to love it. And that never happens. The people say it, and the 10 years go by, and people's opinion doesn't change really. They still like it, but the world didn't catch up to their genius. And that's where we are with stuff like this. It was very clear to anyone with any basic common sense that the first Shazam movie just wasn't a big deal. It got good reviews. I know it got like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. I know that genuinely people said it was one of the better DC movies, but it only made like $300 million. And you could just tell in the general public, people did not care about the movie that much. So, this is what you get. The fact that things like, oh, they should have released this movie anyway, they shouldn't have even made this movie, is what I'm saying. This was just a stupid idea. Like, Ant-Man 3, I get it, because you're Marvel. What are you going to do, right? You're like, we're running out of characters here. Shazam, it's like, yeah, you probably just should have saved that character for something else. In fact, they're rebooting it anyway, so it doesn't even fucking matter. All right, so they expanded Everything Everywhere All at Once after it just won Best Picture. So it made 75 million domestically total, 112 million worldwide. Puss in Boots continues to do very well. It's 470 million worldwide. Looks like it's going to make 185 million domestic. So that's just a really impressive run. Avatar 2 has finally crossed 2.3 billion. 680 million with a little bit of extra looks like the final gross of the movie. And I don't know how much higher it'll go from the 2.3. Champions is at 10 million, at 12 million worldwide. This film isn't getting great reception, and it just isn't that big of a movie, not worth really talking about. Jesus Revolution continues to do fine at $45 million. Should be able to gross over 50 million domestic. And then we have Cocaine Bear, which is at 58 million and $74 million worldwide. So this is definitely having pretty steep drops. It doesn't look like Cocaine Bear will make much more than 65 million. Ant-Man 3 dropped 42% to 4 million. It's at 462 million worldwide and 205 million domestically. So it still hasn't grossed more than the first Ant-Man did worldwide. And it definitely hasn't touched the second one. It won't reach the second one, 622 million. The question is, can it reach the 520 million of the original film? And just looking at it right now, I don't think it can. I'm really questioning if this is going to outgross the first Ant-Man movie. So, needless to say, 65 had a 53% drop, $38 million worldwide. This movie might make 70 million worldwide, if not more. So it's not a complete failure, but it was also one of those movies that like looked like it should have went straight to video. Creed 3 had a pretty decent hold of 43%, down to 15.3 million. It's at 127 million domestically, which would, unadjusted for inflation, obviously make it the highest grossing Rocky movie, because I believe that's what Rocky 4 grossed. And Rocky 3, I think both made 127 million or around there. But it's at 224 million worldwide. Rocky 4 grossed $300 million, so this still isn't the highest grossing Rocky film, unadjusted for inflation, obviously. But I would say, yeah, the 150 estimate that people had at over to opening weekend, it looks like the movie might make that, if not more. And worldwide, it's tough to say if it's going to make like 350 million. I don't think so. Scream 6, like I predicted last week, was going to have a steep drop just because that's what this franchise does. That's what it's like with horror movies like this. A lot of the fans went out for Jenna Ortega on the first weekend, and the franchise fans. 60% drop, 17.5 million. It's at 76 million domestic, 116 worldwide. Now, the previous Scream film, I believed, ended its total run domestically at 81 million, so this is already going to outgross that film. And at least it should still be able to reach 100 million. If it doesn't, it'll just barely not reach 100 million. It'd be like 98 million, but I'm assuming this is going to make 100 million domestic. And you would think, yeah, 180 million worldwide is in play, if not a little bit more. So that movie's doing well relative to its budget. But let's get to Shazam, DC and Warner Brothers' new disaster. So I'm assuming the budget for this was at least 150 million. I don't want to think they spent $200 million on this movie that got mixed reviews. And the trailers I thought were pretty terrible when I saw them in the cinemas. So we have a 65 million worldwide opening. I would say this is just a bomb on release. I really don't think there's a way to spend this. So let's see what Shazam did in 2019. So the original Shazam opened at 53 million on a $100 million budget and made 366 million worldwide. So I guess with the budget only being 100 million, they were just able to say this was a success. But overall, like these weren't great numbers at the time. 2019, I think every other superhero movie that year made way more money than Shazam. I mean, that was the year Joker made $1 billion. That was the year Endgame came out. So this is just a bad opening weekend. I mean, because you can't use the COVID excuse anymore. You can't say it's for various reasons, quite honestly. This is just bad idea for a movie, bad marketing, bad release, mixed reviews. I mean, everything that could have went wrong went wrong. I don't see this making $100 million domestically. I guess it's possible, but I just can't see it in my head. I think this is going to drop really bad. And worldwide, it's hard to say. I don't think this is going to pass the first movie, 366 million. So once again, all the superhero films are just having a rough time right now at the box office. So hopefully this makes the studios, which we already know they're in the process of doing, rethink some of the practices that have been going on. That maybe not every character needs a movie that you're going to spend millions of dollars on if there just isn't that fan base there and you're just not getting that love. I know a lot of people like the first Shazam movie. I'm not trying to like shit on DC fans or people who like the character. It's just it was very obvious going back that a sequel to this was going to have a hard time. And there was no hype for this movie whatsoever. And you can blame that on all sorts of things, but I genuinely just think it was a bad idea. And then they made it, and then the movie they made was also the wrong approach to go with. So it was just kind of like a trickle down effect that kept just getting worse and worse. That's about it for everything. I mean, there's the Inside movie, not the Bo Burnham one, but the Willem Dafoe movie that opened to 470,000 in 357 theaters. It gives it a screen average of $1,316. Then you have Moving On. Two old friends reconnect at a funeral and decide to get revenge on the widower who messed with them decades before. Jesus Christ. That sounds a little rough. What the hell were they thinking about with that? Yeah, I don't know. We got some cool stuff coming down the pipeline, though. John Wick 4, I'm pretty hyped about talking about. I think that's going to have a huge opening weekend, and we're going to have a lot of discussion about the runtime and where that franchise is gone now with four movies. It's got the best reviews of the series currently, which is pretty crazy. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves is coming out. That also got decent reviews. We're going to see how that performs with the positive reception, or is that movie still going to not do so well like a lot of us have been predicting? So there's a lot of fun to be had. Shazam, this was just an odd one. I think this movie's going to be forgotten about probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll just move on to talking about what's more interesting in the movie community world. I don't know. If you guys don't know, though, who follow this channel or follow me at social media at all, we've been doing movie nights on the Discord on the weekends. So if you want to join the Discord, you can come and watch a movie with us or hang out with us. And there'll probably be live streams happening at some point down the future. I just have to figure out how to navigate that at some point, kind of do some reconstruction on things. But yeah, please join the Discord. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't. And above all else, please continue to be addicted to the box office. It's what I need in my life. It's what I need from you. It's everything. It just means so much, if you know what I mean. Or do you? Does anyone know what I mean? Does anyone know what I feel? When I close my eyes, I see nothing, on the inside or the outside. I need a mirror to remind myself that I am me. Do I waste my days thinking about movies and films and cinema and kino just to distract myself from all the pain and suffering and the loneliness that I feel within the universe? Are the numbers that come out every weekend just there to give me some sort of structure, some sort of balance, to feel one with nature? Like blueberries, lush, fluffy blueberries. Maybe I'm just tired.